Hello, good evening everyone. So sorry for the delay of our week 2 topic. So I prepared this video so that you have a guide on our comprehensive quiz. So your comprehensive quiz will be considered your prelim exam for week 1 and 2. Okay, so let's get started. So the next topic for our week 2, so that would be on the approaches to system development. On our previous lesson that I uploaded on the YouTube, so we discussed all about the role of the system analyst, and at the same time the introductory of what is a system analysis and design, and also we discussed the different role of the systems analyst, the different types of system, no, the business system and the information system, wherein we discussed the different kinds of information system, no, the TPS, and the like, no, under the category of the information system. Okay, so this time we will be continuing our week 2 lesson. So that would be the all about the system development na. Okay, so in this topic, so the expected competency that you can learn from this module at the end of this week 2 module is we will define what is an SDLC, or System Development Life Cycle. Then we will try also to list down the steps in SDLC methodology, because there are many methodology that you need to understand first before we proceed to the further discussion, or to the further topic that on week 3 and week 4. Okay. Also, we will illustrate the SDLC. No, when you say illustration, we will give some of the features and structure of what is a SDLC. Also, we will describe each phase. So when you say phase, is the sequence or the stages on how SDLC is being implemented to the company or business, or I mean business again. Lugalak with tong dila ko. Sorry. And identify its activity. Compare traditional approach from object-oriented approach. When I say traditional, the business approach using the SDLC in approaching to system development, may mga dinumaan yun mga style, and it's because of the fast-facing evolving of the technology. So there is a different approach or new approach for you to have a what you call this one, the technique or methodology on how would you develop the system development. Okay. Also, we will explain the variations of SDLC used by the system developers. When I say system developers, these are the person who are creating a system or software or application or embedded system or firmware. No? So sila na ni siya. Okay? So SDLC, or Systems Development Life Cycle. So the life cycle or the SDLC is a conceptual model. So that means you need to conceptualize what would be the business model or the system model of a certain company or institution or organization when it comes to automation, or even how to systematize the structure of the said business flow. So it's just like you are organizing, no, the flow of their daily routine transactions. No? So how would you do that? it's because of the methodology that you're going to use. So most especially SDLC is used on developing a software or system, such as payroll, POS, machine learning programs or software. No, so these are the essential of implementing or using the different methodology using the SDLC or System Development Lifecycle. That's why ginatawag sa gani life cycle, because there is a certain process nga pasunod or ginatawag sa gani nga phases, no, in order for you to develop a good and systematized software. Okay. Also, it describes the phases involved in information system development project, from an initial feasibility study through the maintenance of the completed application. So, from the conceptual view, so you need to study or research for it kung ano ang iya nga dapat i-improve, dapat nyo i-implement, i-create, i-structural, i-model. So that's the work of the SDLC. When you say feasibility study, so you need to do some research so that this system will be useful on implementing it to the company or institution or organization. So hasta makumpleto siya with a certain maintenance. Kina mention sa SDLC, maintenance is one of the factor that affect the SDLC. Okay? In SDLC, it is possible to complete some activities in one phase in parallel. May si parallel. Yung parallel gani. Isa lang sila, no? Though may pagkahatak-hatak siya, no? May gina-breakdown with some activities of another phases. Sometimes the life cycle is iterative. Meaning si iterative, pwede ka sulit. For example, medyo may problema sa piyak, you need to repeat it again until such time that the process is complete. No? Although, ano si iterative, ano siya, probably there are some changes from this aspect, so you need to repeat it again. And then try to debug or try to find out what are the errors before going to another phase. So that is the work of the SDLC. Now, let's proceed on the general. So SDLC generally is following this kind of step. So the existing system is evaluated, problems are identified. So this can be done through system user interview and with support personnel consultations. Okay? So dapat may evaluation anay to identify what would be the possible problem to be stated using interview and support personnel consultation. So who are these people nga interview nyo? So those people who will be using the system, no? So hindi mo pag-interviewon niya ang iba niya tao, no, nga wala labot or it does not involve on a system. So for example, if you are making a so let's say payroll, so you need to interview those people who are involved in payroll system transaction. So do not involve other person who does not involve in making a payroll. Okay, so that's what they mean of evaluated and identified. Okay, ang mga person that is involved on such systems or implementing that kind of system, that would be, or those people who will be using that kind of system. So mas makabalo sila sang sa ibang nga hindi involved sa isa ka system. Okay, so the new system requirements are defined. The problem in existing system must be addressed with specific proposals for improvement. So area, if there is upgrades, no? So for example, if there is a certain features nga may kulang, so the developer or programmers or the project manager should consult on what would be the improvement that they need to take or upgrade so that they can address the specific problem on that and will give specific and immediate solution. The proposed system is designed plan are laid out involving physical construction, hardware specification, operating systems, programming, communications, and security issues, which is true. So, as no, mutong gin-mention ko sa previous tang discussion as system analyst. So, one of the essence of the analyst based on the SDLC is to identify the the involvement of these different kinds of proposed system plan, wherein it said here the specification of your hardware, the physical construction. When you say physical construction, the floor plan of the business area, wherein sa ding side may computers, di naman may printer, dito naman sa piyak may network, dito naman may server. So gina consider. Okay, operating system kung anong gamiton nyo, pwede Linux, Windows, Apple or Mac, no? So depende sa pag-layout ng proposal. Programming ng mga programmers nyo, programming, communications, and security issues, no? So right now security issues is very important also. The new system is developed. New components and programs must be obtained. When I say new components and programs, so base may mga third party nga mga programs nga pwede nga ma-integrate. For example, right now we are on the mobile, so base ma-integrate sa ibang nga platform like mobile phone, excuse me, and any other platform, no? Pwede sa base later on base butang nila sa may hybrid na computers or supercomputers. Okay, the system is put into use. The new system can step in according to applications or location. Then the old system is gradually replaced. So this one is preferably, this is referring to the what you call this one, upgrades, no? If there is changes with the system, so for example, before most of the system is being not the word manipulate. The system before are created on a DOS-based program, and you know what is DOS-based program? DOS-based program are those text-based program. So what do you mean by the DOS? Disk operating system, which is the very old operating system of the Microsoft before, So gagamit sila sa mga text-based program wherein text lang yung makita mo, hindi siya GUI right now nga may mga buttons, okay, text box, drop down or the combo boxes and so on. So ang mga old system before, they gradually change it into a graphical type of system. So that's what you call the old system nga gina-replace ang mga bagong applications or programs. But still, ang mga gina-replace is the mirror of the DOS-based program before. So upgrade lang into a graphical type of system or program. Okay, the new system should be evaluated once it is up and running. Maintenance must be kept up rigorously all the times. System user should be updated with the latest modification and procedure. So each and every time that the system is implemented, so dapat ano man siya, i-maintenance man siya. So it doesn't mean because gin-create ko na siya, bayran ka mo, 1,000,000, no? You are paid by the company, pabayaan nyo na lang na yun. No. Dapat may after sales. Saan pa na after sales? When you say after sales, once you implement and get paid by the company, once you implement the system or programs, so may after sales na siya. When you say after sales, kung sa product, gid no, na is warranty. Ang warranty, ang muna sa mga free services nga gina-offer, once nga ang isa ka product ara within the 1 year warranty lock-in period. So, amo man na di may maintenance man. Okay? Those same lang gyapon, although it is just a software. Okay? So, this is the illustration of the SDLC as in general. So first, we have the planning phase. So from the planning, we have the analysis phase. So once the analysis is done, brainstorming, the arguments of the systems analysts, programmers, and UI developer. So din na brainstorm, no? Miski during drawing na siya, structure, naka flowchart, naka DFD, and so on. So they'll talk about it here on the analysis phase. So what's gonna happen if this? What's gonna happen if this? What happened? Or what's we gonna do? So these are the phase nga medyo may mga complicated before they go to designing phase. Because once the problem here is done, or masayang tangan doon na address nila thoroughly, so they will proceed to design phase. So once the design phase good, they will implement it, and lastly we have maintenance, no, after sales na. So gina-maintenance na siya base may mga debug sa uli, so dapat you need to immediately solve the problem with regards to the system that you have implemented. Now, as you observe, it goes back again to the planning phase. For example, there are some bugs here, for example, on this side. So you need to go back on the analysis. So if the analysis doesn't satisfy, you go again to the planning. So that's why iterative na stage. Okay. Now, planning phase is all about the conceptual view. Now, wherein project planning is the process of defining clear, discrete activities and work needed to complete each activity within a single project. The primary objectives of this phase are identify the scope of the new system. So, ano ba lang yung scope? Yung scope anong yung limit lang. So it doesn't mean that you are going to implement or develop a system. So you need to have also first the scope. For example, this team A, will be handling or creating or develop a program for the profile of the employee. The team B is the one who will handle the development for the time in time out of the employee. So each of the team should have a scope. So hindi nyo pag hakupon, no, ano ka bala, do matyaga mo, do si me, myself, and I ka, now we're in the man who knows everything, no, which is not good on a team. No, when you are creating a large scale system, or if you are implementing a system in a large scale approach, so you need to have a team, because you cannot finish it if you do it alone. So you need to have a team. So that's why there is company, a software development company, because they have a large amount of people to work on a certain organization. Okay, ensure that the project is feasible. When you say feasible, at the end may profit ang kumpanya. So the company will not invest in such system if there is no profit at the end. And make sure also that if you present it, make sure that it's feasible also. When you say feasible, research nyo again, that system will affect, or will help the company to produce efficient output or result, or accurate result or output to the company. syempre, they are paying you handsomely, so you need to also give the system that they want. Develop schedule, resource plan, and budget for the remainder of the project. So, syempre, you need also to laid out the budget for the project so that the company will also prepare for that kind of project. Kung anong balayran nyo da. Kung ano ba lang inyong excuse me, for the development of your project. So you need to lay out all of the materials, physical, tangible man siya or intangible materials. So you need to lay out in order for you to create a project. Okay, so the next is the activity that the system analyst perform during the project planning. So, isa-isa. Although na-mention ko na, but still, we will define it again. So, define the problem. So, you need to define what is the problem, what is the very specific problem of the development or during the development. Okay, confirm project feasibility. Then, if you define the problem, you need also to confirm that this problem will be addressed feasibly. No? Wherein the team should also research if this problem exists, so you need to address an immediate solution. Produce the project schedule. So this is very important because so that you will know ang inyong timeline. So for data gathering, what is the schedule, how many days will you work for it, how many days it will be done. So you need to lay out also the activities or tasks for the said schedule. Staff project, detailing list of required staff, kung pila ka bilog ang i-assign mo da, no? Tantabi sa data gathering, pila ka bilog. Programmers mo, pila ka bilog. Mag-UI design, pila ka bilog. So, you need also to disseminate or delegate. Launch the project, initiation of the project. So, pag launch ng project, manisay launch ng project, tapos na siya dapat. Okay? On analysis phase, so sa planning pa lang siya, so this is the planning. On analysis phase naman, the primary objective of the analysis phase is to understand the document, the business needs, and the processing requirements of the new system. So this phase is basically a discovery process. So the activity in this phase includes the following: gathering information, no? After the planning, ang itong siling ko sa inyo, di ba? I-disseminate mo kung pila ka staff ang i-disseminate mo or i-delegate mo sa kada project. So, for example, sa gathering information, so you need also to disseminate some people. Hindi kay pulo ka mo kabilog, pulo man i-assign mo. So, you need to assign those people that is good on that particular aspect, which is gathering information. Because gathering information is very, very crucial on system development. Kaya ka mag-start kung ano ang kinalaman nyo para ang inyong programming feasible. Okay? Ang inyong study or ang inyong research maging feasible. So, you need to acquire important data. Kaya kung wala ka rin gagather information, wala ka man sukuha nyo data kung anong dapat nyo nga i-process. Okay? And then, define system requirements. Ano ba ang mga requirements nyo? So, anong mga diagrams nga i-present nyo? Ang model sa isa ka system. When you say model, pasunod. Though, if you remember, when you are on C++, no, program, atong code, nalipatan mo na kung anong code sa inyong C++ program, I think din-discuss sa inyong flowchart. So, one of the diagramming example is the flowchart. So, which is one of the diagrams nga pwede nyo magamit sa mag-define sa isa ka system requirements. Actually, there are lots of, no? So, we will discuss it later on. Okay? Build prototypes for discovery of requirements. When you say prototype, kung ano nga mga pwede, mahimo nyo nga, miski draft lang, no? Nga layout kung sa mga bayo pa, may initial lang ka mga sketch, no? Prototype. No? I think you know already what is a prototype. Okay? prioritize requirements. Okay? So what would be the priority of this project? Kung ano yung pinaka-crucial. So dito ka mo gaan sang detailed, at the same time very keen nga analysis. Now, for example, in computation, most especially, for example, if you are making payroll, so you need to focus on the computation so that the output is accurate. So just imagine if there are employees, if they log in 8 o'clock or less than 8 o'clock, then it will reflect to their computation they are late. So that's very alarming because your system is not accurate. So you need to prioritize what are the aspects that needs to analyze deeply or intensively or seriously, because it will affect the operation of the company or establishment. Okay, generate and evaluate alternatives. Evaluating the alternative kung may mga problems na mag-occur. No? For example, building the system in-house, pwede nyo ma-hire sila. For example, kung kulang ka, ma-hire ka naman bago. Or pwede man mag-i-outsource mo sa iban. No? There are some company nga, although they have in-house developer, they're still hiring outside or gina-outsource nilang iba yung obra. So that's why subong damo naga-home base. For example, sa call center to ni. Sa call center, actually they have people who will work for them. No, for example, Sprint. They have call centers in America, but they outsource the job in order for them to have a lesser cost, because if you hire people in America, so medyo dako tong hilayang cost of living. So in order for the Sprint to have a low cost of their assets, no, among mga assets, mga tao nila, so they outsource the job to the other country. So that's why one of the country that very cheap, no, sorry to say that, but one of the country nga nubo lang ang cost ng Manila is the Philippines, no, wherein pila ning ang aton nga amount diri pinakataas nga salary sang call center, if I'm not mistaken, is CSR. Now I'm talking about CSR. I'm not excluded na si supervisor or si TA, si TL nila. Ang pinaka-range guro sang CSR, customer service representative, I think the most is 30 or 35. Pero 35, I think hindi na CSR eh. Kaya yung CSR sa mga 20 to 18, no, sa pinaka-tayo guro mga 22, no, doon mo na ng pinaka sang CSR. Okay, ang iba nila lesser pa. Pero okay lang kung amo ng rate, pero kung lesser pa gid, so amo na siya. So that's why gina-outsource ang iba. Okay, next we have okay, review recommendations with management. So if there are recaps the result of the analysis, so kinahanglan na mag-consult anay sa management. Kung okay na sa ilang system, is there is a problem with the system, is there any changes or modifications so that we can improve it, or those are the questions that you need to review, no, together with the management, kay sila ng inyong client. The customer is always right ko, no. So anyway, sa DRIA, you need to consult to the management. May mga management ka na nga medyo stricto, may man nga okay lang, i-consider, Pero but most of the time, if when you say the management always stick to the project kaya nga gina-implement or gina-propose ninyo. If there are some errors, syempre alangan di sila alangan malipay sila. Syempre, mga kagina sila ya kung may mga bugs or errors with regards to the system that you are implemented. So they need to you need to act it immediately or to address it immediately if there is instance of a failure with the system. Okay, ma-affect ng ilang operations. You're paid for it, so you need to get the job done. Now, after the planning and analysis phase, so we will go for designing phase. So this phase where the technical blueprint of the system is created. Okay, magsiling nga technical blueprint from the analysis ng again come up ninyo. The primary objective of this phase is to, okay, as I've said, this is the phase wherein you come up with from the planning down to the analysis phase. The primary objective of the design phase is to design a solution-based, no? Well, design is solution-based, take note of that, on the requirements defined and decisions made during the analysis phase. So, dapat, when you go to this phase, the requirements that you have already analyzed and laid out during the analysis phase should be final and irrevocable. Probably not so irrevocable because, you know, you will not know the fault or errors if you're not there already. So, however, when you say irrevocable, there is also a exception. If there are some modifications with regards to the other analysis, so probably you can talk about it anyway. So that's why it is iterative. So the activities done during this phase are design and integrate the network. Ito, may network na siya. Design the application architecture. So, ang structures niya. What are the system requirements to implement or to add or to modify or so and the like, no? Design the user interface. Yung user interface dapat is very with regards to the forms, the reports, the screen, the sequence of the interactions. So dapat ano siya medyo detailed because the user is one of the essential for the implementation of the system kasi sila na yung magamit, sila na yung pinaka focal person yung magamit sa isa ka system. Design the system interface. Okay, dapat user-friendly siya. Hindi siya ma-budline sindihon. Pagkakita pa lang niya, they know how to operate the system that you have implemented. Design and integrate the database. Okay, ano mga database nyo? Prototype for design details. Design and integrate the system control. So all of them are the work of the design phase. No? Tanan na siya sabihan or research so that came from the analysis phase. So dapat na agreehan na ni siya sa analysis phase ang iming instance. Okay? So implementation. So in implementation phase, the final system is built, tested, and installed. So doon na kamo implement na para magamit. The objective or objectives of these activities of this phase is not only to produce reliable, fully functional information system, but also to ensure the user are all trained, no? Pati training dala. And the organization is ready to benefit as expected from the use of system. So, amo na ni siyang medyo kulbaan kay nga paggamit kag kung may mga fault, so syempre sinong balikan ang nag-imo. So, medyo masakit-sakit ng tiyan mo di mo kung hindi ginakulbaan ka na. So, But anyway, if you plan it thoroughly with your team, I think you will not encounter those difficulty na itong mga kulba-kulba kay as long as you finish it on time, finish it on the exact date or on or before the date of the implementation or the deadline. At the same time, before nyo man na siya i-implement, you perform thousands or no, I think thousand is very exaggerated. So probably you uh, test it 100 times o kung pwede pa lang 1,000 times, 10,000 times na para ma-perfect ang isa ka system. Okay? So the activities that make up the implementation phase are construct software component. Okay? Ano ba lang mga component nyo batang muda? Okay? Verify the test. Ano mang say construct software component base may mga compatibility issues, no? Base pag-implement mo na karon Windows 7 tong iyang unit. So what you're going to do base may sa system sa Windows 7 may software issues ang mga drivers, mga dynamic libraries, ano pa, OCX. So base may mga ano siya, may mga compatibility issues. So you need to solve it. Okay, there are some system that needs dynamic library that is not present on a certain Windows 7 or Windows 10. So you need to get that component so that your program or system will implement 100% no operational. So dapat may mga may mga what do you call this, support library so that your system will implement smoothly. No? Next is verify and test. Prototypes are used to verify different implementation strategies and to ensure that the system can handle the volumes of transaction that will exist after it placed in production. So, muna siya ang obrasang implementation, verify and test. Convert data to format required in new system. May say convert data base may mga mostly example ko kagina so base may mga old system sila i-integrate ninyo. Yung silingon may system sila before na ginagamit and at the same time they need to improve it or upgrade it, so you need to integrate yung hindi maguba ang old system. Kung saan pa migration lang, no? From the old system you migrated it on a new system. Okay? Train users and document the system. So one of the essential of the implementation is the documentation. I-document nyo gid. So that's why there is always a documentation. So ang thesis nyo before you graduate is one of the example of the documentation. Kung paano siya create. Okay? How would you disseminate the problem? How would you state the problem? How did you solve the problem? Based on the statement of the problem. Did you hit the objectives, the prototype, and then the user interface, the codes, the what you call this one, the specifications. So tara na siya gina-document. Okay? So syempre, pero pares na siya sa ng mga appliances ta. When you buy an appliances on a certain appliance center, so the first thing that you're going to ask is the manual. No, the manual of the appliances that you have bought, no, from a appliance center. Okay, even the smartphone, right? When you buy a phone, there is the manual, the user manual is included on that particular phone. Okay, so that you will know what will be the problem that the possible problem, and they have a immediate solution from the user manual, the user manual that includes on a certain product. Then install the system. Okay, simple. So, when you implement, you need to install the system. No? Alangan nyo hindi nyo pag-install because they pay for it, so you need to install it. You have no choice. Okay? And then lastly, we have maintenance phase. The objective of maintenance phase is to keep the system running productively during the years following its initial installation. From the starting of the implementation, dapat na ma-start ang maintenance phase. Ang maintenance phase, medyo may napalingani. It's very tiring because you need to go through again. Masulit ka na naman ni what? Basta may mga problems sa mga pang pag-analyze nyo, basta may kulang, you miss something, you overlook. So you need to go through again on the SDLC. So the activities occur during the maintenance phase are maintain the system, enhance the system, and support the user. So maningil lang ang mga i-perform. Mga nga maintain, so you need to fix the error or fixing the bugs. If there is some minor adjustment, so you need to adjust or fix it. Enhance kung may ipa-upgrade sa isa ka project or sa inyo in-implement nga project. And then support. So every questions of the user nga hindi nila maintindihan, although gin-try nyo na sila, if there are some questions with regards to the operating the system that you have implemented, so you need also to tediously and keenly and be attentive and address immediately so that it will get a good remark on the side of your team. Okay, so also it will help productivity. Okay, syempre when the user is not effective pag-implement sa inyong system, that means your system is not good. So dapat ang efficacy kag ang efficiency magdungan. Efficiency ara sa inyong system, efficacy ara naman niya sa user. Kung paano siya maging productive once that your system is implemented. Okay? Next, approach to system development. So, there are two general approaches on system developments. These are traditional and object-oriented. No? Traditional, also known as structured development, this approach includes three techniques: structured analysis, structured design, and structured programming. So these techniques are sometimes called structured analysis design technique or SADT. A structured program is one that has one beginning and one end. And each step in the program execution is composed of the three programming structure. If you try to read it again, one has one beginning and one end. So hindi ka pwede maglumpat sa punta kung wala na sang pasunod anay each step. A sequence program statement, and say sequence pasunod, a decision where one set of statement or another set of statement executes, and a repetition of set statement. So maningiyang nga three programming rule niya. Okay, another idea is the top-down programming. Kasi nga top-down, same man Japon, ano man sa Japon, no? Sequence man sa Japon. So I will not read it thoroughly. I will just give you the heads up kung ano ning ilang i-perform sa traditional approach. Sa traditional approach, yung mostly gid, ga-follow ni sila kung ano ang natapos sa babaw. For example, if Team A finish na sila sa entry, so they pass the next phase to Team B. Ang Team B, for example, sa UI naman sila. So, samtang hindi matapos ang babaw, ang letter A nga plan, ang letter A, so, Team B will wait for the Team A to finish before they work for it. Ayan. Tapos, si Team C naman sa dalom, mahulat naman kay Team B. Now, if there is a problem with the work of Team A, so Si Team B naman yung nagsalo, kung may nakita silang problem, magbalik sila na si Team A. So, that means, ang obra ni Team C naman niya, mahulat yun siya yanay. So, medyo ano siya, one step at a time. So, that's the, drawback of the traditional. Okay? For the object-oriented approach in view of the information system is actually the process consists of the data entries nga pang tunga-tunga. Okay? So, one of the example is object-oriented analysis, then object-oriented design, and object-oriented programming. So, these are the variation of the system development life cycle. So, ano siya? Medyo lain-lain sila ya, task, no? So, from analysis through designing to programming. Kaya mo sa lingon niya, pag-analyze, haboy da yun kay design. Then, after ma-analyze naman masigilin may gyapon obrang analysis, tapos si design mo obra man kag si programming mo obra man But sa lingon do, it's just like this. Dongwa niya, okay, so for example, this is your what you call this one? Object-oriented analysis, no? Object-oriented OAA. So, tapos, next is si OOD. And then you have si programming. OOP. So, what happened? So, maubra ni siya. Maubra man ni. Tapos, maubra ni siya. Okay, that means tatlo sila kung ano ning obra yun pasay kag kung anong obra yun man pasay man Now, matingob lang na si isa lang ka class. Let's say, ang isabi ka model, module gamit nila for entry. Okay. Entry. Tapos, obra naman si Piak, pasa naman, di naman B. Okay. Same as Sdlc Lifecycle. Dili naman nabi for inventory. Anyway. So, may inventory na di siya. Now, may pila na ka-class na din gamit niya. Class 1, kag class 2. May duwa na sa ka-module. No, module 1, module 2. Now, sige na obra, naka-create sila. And then, may error niya bing ari. So, that means, dili lang sila yung mag-focus. So, obraw niliwat ni OEA. Nang taon niya may problem, pasaya naman Tapos, kung tapos pasaya naman But sila, nakastack lang ni saya. Kagari, okay na siya. Ari lang yung ilay fokusan. So, that is object-oriented. No? Ang traditional why ni sila amo ni? Kaya nga, why man ni sila because of the traditional process, wala tong giniyan kung may error na di nga dapat siya perfect kinadi. So, that is traditional. Area, sa modern or sa object-oriented approach, masigilan sila yung obra, tanan, kung mag-stack sila module. Kung ano lang yung module ang may error, dito lang nila debug or fix. So, that's the different of the object-oriented nga approach sa Sdlc. Okay? So, let's go to the model of the Sdlc. So, the model of the Sdlc, one of the is the Waterfall Model. Often considered as classic approach na isa sa mga traditional approach. No? Mas nami ni siya kung ang isa ka company dalagko. So, nga dalagko. Okay? Or large-scale company. Okay? If you have a large-scale company, Waterfall is very applicable because itong dako ang isa kumpanya, dako ang scope niya. Kung dakong scope niya, medyo malawig-lawig ang obra. So that means ang planning nyo dapat medyo malawig-lawig man because of the scope and the large scale of the development. Ang tabihin mo, ano, BBDO. No, medyo large scale siya. So, sa lingon, we need to plan it thoroughly before implementing the system. Yung tawag sa ganing waterfall, alin sa babaw, panaog. Sa lingon, hindi yan ay magtapos or the planning phase should not proceed to the analysis phase if the planning is not perfectly done. Okay? Because there's no going back. No? When you say, di ba, ang waterfall, di ba? Panaog lang ang panaog. Wala siya yaga, balik sa babaw. Okay? Naman niyang logic sang waterfall. Now, there's no turning back. Okay? So, it will goes down one after another. So, that's the drawback of the waterfall. There's no turning back. So, dapat perfectly done from one phase to another phase. Okay? Now, the next one is the prototype model. So, prototyping, where am I? Okay, so, prototyping model is an early example model or release product. When we say prototype is an early or miski wala pa siya not fully functional. Ginatawag sa prototype lang anay. So, probably there are gin-present lang siya so that ma-present lang sa immediately without any pang function gid thoroughly. Siguro alam sa mga 40%, 50% nga prototype para makita lang ang iyang structure, what would be the flow, what would be the model of that kind of system. No? Hindi lang siya sa mga system lang pwede man siya sa mga electronics, sa mga AI, and so on, etc. and so forth. Kay gaya mag-imana sila na prototype. For testing if this system is functional or not. Okay? And then, this system is feasible or not, or credible or not. Para makita nila, kung may mga modification silang i-apply, para ma-improve siya on later process. That's why this is very important also. Next one is the basic prototype category. So, the first one is proof of principle prototype. Okay, magsiya nga proof of principle, so dapat medyo may mga credible ka nga evidence para makaproduce ka final product. Working prototype represents nearly all of the functionality of the final product. Magsiya nga working prototype, gura sa mga 80 to 90% working. Pero may mga changes dapat kasi siyempre 90% is not that final yet. So, pero almost na siya sa final product. Visual prototype represents the size and appearance but not the functionality. Mutsulingon doon lang siya kung saan pa do mannequin type, no? Now wherein butang mo na siya ay amo na siyang itsura niya. Pero wala pa sa functionality. Though for ano lang siya for basis nga pwede mo sa ma-explain niya. This system will this robot will become amuni, this product will become like this after the function is fully implemented, and so and so etc. and so forth. Dala na dang mga base may mga interfacing pa, mga colors, etc. and so on and so forth. So visual prototype type. User experience prototype represents enough of appearance and function of the product that it can be used for user research. Okay, mostly arinig sa mga prototypes ng AI. A functional prototype captures both function and appearance of the intended design, though it may be created with different techniques and even different scale from final design. Magsiling functional sa, although this is already functional, pero subject to changes pa sa if there is some modifications with regards to the design kaya hindi pa man siya final gid. So that's why ginatawag sa prototype tanan. Paper prototype is printed hand-drawn representation of the user interface. So, dali naman niya, mostly, model lang. But sila, conceptual pa siya, pag amo ng iyang prototype later on. Now, wherein, ang developer or the team, nag-create lang sila na isang documentation type. No, nga, though, kung sabi the proposal type. Pero naka-create na sila prototype in a conceptual manner. Doon mo nabaling matabo. So, this is what you're going to do. So, magamit na sila sang lain-lain ng mga diagrams. No? Pwede flowchart, pwede DFD, pwede use case, and any other diagram na pwede nila ma-present as a hand-drawn representation of their prototype. Okay? Okay, now, so let's proceed to the differences in creating a prototype versus a final product. In general, creation of prototype will differ from creation of the final product in some fundamental ways. The first is the material. Siyempre, yung prototype dapat may mga materials, especially on the engineering side, no? Wherein they need to fabricate something. So, you need to have a material. Next, process. When we say process, if the product is already, fully functional, so, depende sa inyo kung mag-mass production ka mo. For example, na nasubong sa vaccine, no? May sila damo clinical trial, and so on and so on and so forth. So, once the clinical trial, phase 1, phase 2, testing, so, there are lots of testing, no? So, unlike before, ang testing naton sa mga bulong, medyo dugay because hindi pa mo naka-sophisticated ang technology. But right now, because of the technology is moving on to a certain amount of speed, no? Ang aton yung mga material, ang aton yung mga technology, dasig na. So, they're at the same time they test it perfectly. So it's the company to decide if they will produce a mass production of process. Okay. Verification. So the final product may be subject to a number of quality assurance tests. No, syempre dapat may halagyan na quality assurance or QA to verify conformance with drawings and specifications. Okay? So, dapat yan siya thoroughly evaluated. Okay? So, engineers and prototype specialists attempt to minimize the impact of these differences on intended rule of for the prototype. For example, if a visual prototype is not able to use the same material as a final product, they will attempt to substitute the materials in with the properties that closely simulate the intent final material. So, they talk about here the so-called differences. For example, if this material or prototype does not match, so they need to substitute something so that mag-match agad sila. So, that's why gintawag sa prototyping pa lang. So, kung hindi pa siya they will not go hand in hand. So, they need to replace something so that the product or the system is will work properly at the end. That's why it is called prototyping. Okay, ang prototyping, and then siya very important para makita we will see the glimpse on what was gonna happen to the system or on the product once it is fully functional. So that's why you need to provide good materials, no? Kung anong material nga nagkakadapat. Then, if that material is worked properly, you need to mass production. Diba, sibala pag produce mo material, kung mass production ka, may haragali mga loopholes in the middle. So that means kung nag-mass production ka, so you will waste money and you waste time. Okay? Kanugon sang, especially money because you're investing on it. Okay? Now, the next model is the spiral na model. Spiral model is an Sdlc model used in information technology that combines the features of prototyping model and waterfall model. Okay, kung sa prototyping ya, laban ka sa model naman may ano katanan, may mga sample ka. No? Sa waterfall naman ya, hindi mag-proceed sa piyak nga phase kung hindi matapos ang isa ka phase. Si spiral naman niya, the model shows the life cycle as a spiral starting from the center and work its way around. Ang isang halinggi siya, pamanaw. Okay, if you try to do waterfall siya, no? Ayan. Ang nang iyang illustration. Okay, if you can see from here, nagstart sa customer communication, then planning, risk analysis, engineering, engineering, ano ka na, nag-design ka na nag-develop ka na. Then construction release, and then customer evaluation, and then if there is a certain problem at the end, at the middle ng process, so they need to repeat it again from the planning down to so doon na siya, at least okay na, no? Doon nagaan na siya sulit. Okay? Until such time the project is completed. They'll try to work around. Okay? So at least pwede na kamuka proceed. Pero kung may mga error, so you need to go back again. So that is na repeated process na siya. So ang sa lingon, iterative na siya. For the spiral model is intended for large, expensive, and complicated projects. Now, do pares man waterfall. The spiral model can be generalized in the following steps. The new system requirements are defined in detail. This involves interviewing number of users representing all external and internal users and other aspects of existing system. So, dapat may interview gid. Always ginaya. Sa planning, dapat may interview gid. Okay. Then ka ma-start sa imong system kung wala ka sang data nga i-gather. One of the example of the, di ba, one of the some planning is data gathering which is very essential. Next, initial design is created for the new system. Ang motong prototype, no? Kay combination ni sa sang waterfall kag prototype. A first prototype of the new system is constructed from the initial design. This is usually a scaled-down system and represents an approximation of the characteristics of the final product. But silingon sa prototype, so dapat may ka naging sample output, pero hindi pa siya final output. A second prototype is evolved by fourfold procedure. But silingon, sa kada prototype nimo, syempre dapat i-evolve siya. Hindi pwedeng mag-stay lang siya sa isa lang ka lugar o sa isa lang ka ginhimo mo last time. So, dapat may improvement siya. So, that's why sulit-sulit sa iterative. At the customer option, the entire project can be aborted if the risk is deemed too great. So, kung do tama, siya risky, so, gina-develop and i-modify. O galing, siyempre, the more ka nga naga-iterative, ang cost naga-taas. Naga-taas siya. Ang iyang risk sang cost ang iyang development gataas man syempre, and you need to expect on it. Expected na siya. Disadvantage na siya sa company or sa imong group nga gina-anhan kay kung magsulit siya kay siguro na you paid for it. So, syempre, dapat may may a certain dapat yung siguraduhon nyo nga hindi magsulit. No? Kaya kung magsulit sa liwat, syempre, balikan ka na isang management. So, that's why ang pag-create sa isa ka system, hindi laglahog. Kaya balikan ka man, especially kung nakakontrata ka mo. Okay? So, the existing prototype is evaluated in the same manner as was the previous prototype. And if it's necessary, another prototype is developed according to fourfold procedure outlined above. Ayan, mo to gani. So, dapat ang prototype nyo wala siya stay lang, wala improvement. So, dapat may improvement din siya. Okay? The preceding steps are iterated until the customer is satisfied. Okay, kung masigi-sige ito siyang process, although very costly na siya. So, dapat, sa kada iterate ninyo, dapat may improvement until such time that the operation is fixed and well implemented na siya, refine na siya kasama. The final system is constructed based on the refined prototype. The final system is completed, evaluated, and tested. Routine maintenance is carried out on a continuing basis to prevent large-scale failures and to minimize downtime. Ayan. So, maintenance gyapon ang pinakaulihi. Siyempre, you need to maintain the accuracy of the system. If the system is implemented and fully functional, so you need also to monitor the system that is being implemented to maintain it on its prime operation. Okay, so the advantages of using Spiral: estimate the budget and schedule become more realistic as work progresses because of the questions that have been raised. Okay, syempre kasulit sa mo. So, kung may makita yun sa ka-user, so mga question nga sila. Easier to cope with the changes inherent to software development. Kaya kung saying inherent, pwede nila for example, may arabing existing system sila, so pwede nila ma-integrate. No, very easy. Software engineers can start working on the project earlier rather than wading through the lengthy early design process. So, pwede sila ang work automatically nga miski hindi pa kumpleto, hindi taga-gathering, kay pwede pa sila kasulit mo. Unlike sa Waterfall, so dapat tanan nyo nga data gathered kumpleto, wala sang kulang, wala sang pwede lang siguro wala sang kulang, probably pwede magsubra, pero mas mayo nga insakto lang ang data. Kay kung too much exaggerated mas ang data, do hindi man sa realistic. Okay? So, Drea, although kulang pa siguro ang data ninyo, so pwede ka mo sulit. Kaya nga, iterative siya. Pwede nyo naliwat yung masulit ang proseso. Iterative na siya. So, manang advantage sang Spiral. So, however, a drawback of Spiral model is that estimation of budget and time are harder to judge. Kaya costly na siya. So, medyo budlay siya i-trace naman. Ang iya naman niya, cost. Okay, tungod kapila kami magsulit sa amo nga phase. Tatabi ang inyong nga timeline dapat 5 days na. So nag-exceed ka mo mga 8 to 7. Kaya dapat ani ang 8 to 7 na sa amo ni siya nga budget na to pa. So wala ka balok kung dinto nang gagto kay tungod ang inyong budget dapat sa data gathering 5 days lang. So naglabot kami tag 8 days siya. So what will happen to the next budget? No? So, that's the drawback. No? First, extreme programming. So, a discipline of system development that follows a specific structure that is designed to simplify and expedite the process developing new software. Okay. Magsiling extreme programming, manugid, dasigay. Na-expedite mo. So, the key emphasis of the extreme programming are its use for two-person programming team and have customer on site during the development process. The first one is how planning, analysis, design, and construction are all fused into a single phase of activity, and its unique way of capturing and presenting system requirements and design specification. So, mani nga relevant sa pag-develop sang process. Okay, dalagi apon si planning analysis kag design. Dong gwa apon daw ang gwa niya from the beginning mat-amat single phase until sa mga activity naman matapos. Pero kung pwede ka lang kasulit. Basalingon sa planning, analysis, design, tapusin na siya Tapos pag sila, may nakita to si Biak, libot naman eh. Yan, so doon mo nang ganyan. That's why spiral sa gani. Ti kung matapos dire, ti balik tiliwat eh, pa mo naman eh. Yan. Hindi, sugod eh. Padako hasta sa may dire. Now, kung may problem, ti balik to eh. Doon mo nang niya. So, that is the drawback naman. Okay, so that is extreme programming, or pwede ka gamit UML. Alright, UML. Mo ito na butang UML ding meaning. Okay, UML stands for Unified. Okay, para sigurado ta. Okay, ano niya UML? I'll check it on the internet. So we say UML because I forgot the U. It's model language eh. UML. Unified na. Yeah. Yes, correct. That is Unified Model Language. Because somehow I confused with the universal eh. So, Unified Model Language. So, ang mga ginagamitan sang OOP approach. Okay? So, from here, so you just, I think this is very straightforward. Okay? So, ano naman siya, doon na define naman sa ato niya, the Sdlc. So, kindly read this on your own para makaproceed sa next model. Kaya damo pa niya sila mo. Okay? Next is the Agile Modeling. So, popularized by Scott Ambler, Agile Modeling is a practice-based methodology for modeling and documentation of software-based programs or systems. So, this is proposed to be a collection of values, principles, and practices for modeling software that can be applied on software development project in a more flexible manner than traditional modeling method. Si Agile subong amo ni siya ang bag-ong modeling sang methodology sang SDLC, no? So amo ni sila ginagamit sa subong sa mga large scale or small scale, pwede mo gyapon magamit diri. So the following are core practices of Agile modeling. Iterative and incremental modeling. Okay. Apply the right models, create several models in parallel, and model in small increments. So, the nice thing about the Agile, because you can create different models. For example, ang models man ni makreate ka mo 3 ka model. Na kung ano dang applicable nga mga model, amo na yung gamiton nyo. Okay. So, for example, let's proceed here. Makreate ta bago. Yeah. Say, for example, ibutang na siya sa doduyan, no? So, first model ta, so may matabi, for example, program nga duyan. Gusto ko, ang duyan ko kahoy lang, may amoni. Tapos may barda. Yan. First model na sa model 1. Tapos may another model naman ta, butang tabi dere, guma, duyan man na. Okay. Model 2 na siya. Mayroon naman yung duyan. Ano naman eh. Tangkada. Tapos to may pamana. Model mo na siya. So, mayroon tayong model 3. So, pwede si Agile ka-create 3 ka model. Kag kung ano lang yung do pamatyaga nila nga this one, do effective sa ila. Do say effective si model 3. Okay, so umaling ko nila i-adapt nila nga model. Pagkatapos busy sa naman nila ka aspect or component, siyang effective naman si model number 2. So, pwede sila ka-pick or select sa ilang model nga gamiton. Okay? Then, teamwork. Model with others can get active stakeholder participation. Magsilta mga stakeholder ang mga tao nga affected sa isa ka system. Tantabi sa sa purchasing department. So, stakeholder sila. Siyempre, mga middle managers, mga CEO, COO, so mga stakeholder na sila tanan. Encourage collective ownership and display models publicly. Okay? Simplicity. Create simple content, illustrate models simply, and use the simplest modeling tool. No, kung tapos namin sila, kay damo sila mga modeling tool na ginagamit. Okay? Next is validation. Consider testability and then prove the model is right with the code. Okay? So, validation kaya nga, kung inibe, ito, kung ini, gina-validate nilang code kung yung sakto sini, pag ari, validate man nila, So, talang sila gina-validate isa-isa. Okay? Kung ano lang galing effective sa ila, so, man yung kwaon nila. So, pero at least na-validate tanan. Okay? So, very, siya, dasig siya, kay tungod, pag gusto ka mo create model, kung ano lang yung ang applicable, nakuha nyo. Pero at least kung may isa ka mo daya nga sa lima nyo ginhimo, sa lima nyo may pilian ka mo. Ano may mga choices ka mo da. Kung ano lang very effective gid sa kabilugan, so kuha mo lang yung isa or duwa tatlo. At least may reserve na duwa. No? Duwa mo nang guwa niya. So typically, Agile modeling process would go like listen to user stories from the customer. So syempre interview. Draw a logical workflow model to gain appreciation for the business decisions represented in user story. Okay? Create new user story based on the logical model. Okay? Develop some display prototype. In doing so, show the customer what sort of interface they will have. So, syempre, ang ini nga work mostly sa interview kay ginatawag sa customer is considered as a stakeholder. Okay? Using feedback from prototype and logical workflow diagram, develop the system until you create physical data model. So, syempre, ang feedback is one of the important sang Agile. If this one is difficult to understand, so may feedback na. Tantabi sa din naman yung site, what if bi ko amo ni, so gusto ko i among ko lang ni, so feedback man nagyapon. Then you need to brainstorm it kung ano ang nami kag hatagan sa ang immediate solution for that particular feedback. Okay? So, rapid application development. Rapid application development is a system development methodology that emphasize speed of development through extensive user involvement in the rapid, iterative, and incremental construction. So, morning mostly ginagamit ko. Mag-create ko sa system, haring ginagamit ko ang rapid. No, medyo dasig siya eh. No? Ang agile yan namin ni saya sa kung damo ka mo. May team bala. Kung isa nun ka, kung single ka lang gatira sa mga programs, aning namin. Kaya nga, ikaw lang isang. Ikaw lang involved. Okay, ikaw lang yung nag-perform. Pero kung vlog ko anay na, so you need a team. You need isang team. Namin sa mga mga ginagmay like mga library system, POS, no? Pero kung ga-develop pa man yung mga large scale na, no, batang tabi sa kabangko, no, medyo dako na siya. So you need to have a team. No? Kaya kabudlay manghimo sang interface, ikaw lang isa. Okay? Sorry siya. Requirements, user design. So maningil lang sang RAD. No? Requirements, user design, construction, cutover, user design. Kaya pag construct mo day, kung sala, may mga kulang-kulang bing text field format, so day ka lang yung balik-balik ka lang na. Kaya yung requirements ya, dapat ang requirements ya, tapuso mo lang yung requirements. After day ka lang balik-balik sa duwa. Basta lingon ka user design ka, go-program ka. Ay, may kulang text box, pag ito ka naman day, program mo naman liwat. So, muna yung rapid. Okay? So, Consider Rad using may mga consideration. A team includes programmers and analysts who are experienced. So, medyo dapat galing expert ka na. Okay? Ako ba, for example, kung sa ako naman yung part, kay tungod expert man ko siguro sa, yun siguro, again. Expert ako sa designing, kag sa programming. So, syempre, hindi na ko yung ano na lang ko yung mabalik-balik na lang ko diho. Ang requirements sa later on yan, kabalo ka naman kung anong dapat nyo mo sa requirements, so di ka na naman balik-balik. Okay, so di nga diba? Di ka na may iterate. Okay, basta expert ka lang. Amon saying ko gani, if as a systems analyst, so may lagi na yung as a systems analyst, dapat expert ka sa tanan niya field. Pero, syempre, may lagi diyang strong point, may ka man yung mga weak point da. So, anong man ang weak point mo para mang strong point mo? So, mang-hire ka sa ang ibang niya tanda sa mo nga field. So, strong point mo na, pero nang-hire ka tao. Okay? Kaya ang strong point mo, ihatag mo sila na bahala elaborate kung anong ginamin mo. Kag mag-implement sila. So, strong point mo na siya. Okay? Working with novel e-commerce application and a development team believes that the business can sufficiently benefit over their competitors from being an innovator if the application is among the first appear on the web. Okay? Users are sophisticated and highly engaged with organizational goals of the company. So, user gyapon. So, si stakeholder ang importante. Kaya sila may ang magamit sa uli. Pati na si manager, hindi lang niya kasi magsalita ng user general. Pwede si user lang mga clerk, cashier, ang middle managers naman, tapos ang mga manager, CEO, COO, yung top level man. Pati kung dahil siyempre, dapat well-informed kay stakeholder na sila tanan. So, the RAD methodology has several advantages. It is useful for projects in which the user requirements are certain and imprecise. It encourages active user and management participation with increases end user enthusiasm for the project. So, dapat involved yapon si end user or si user, ang stakeholder ta. Projects have higher visibility and support because of extensive user involvement through the process. So, as mentioned here, puro tanan participation sa user because sa diri dapat intensive na dingiya sa nasang RAD kay kung anong mga siguro nag-perform ka disang requirements nimo planning at the same time kung kulang man siya or sufficient na yung mga data kagabalik-balik ka pero pwede ka ka-direct pwede ka ka-direct questions interview again to the participation of the stakeholder. So, base may mga kulang, pwede ka niya pamangkot sila. So, you don't need to repeat it again. No? Kung may mga kulang sila, after sang kulang, pwede mo din immediate solution. So, hindi na sa ma-involve. That's why iterative is dili lang apart. User design kag construction. But siling mo niya, bahala to si requirements kung pila na nakuha nimo. Pero ikaw nag-consult ka na lang directly sa mga stakeholders mo. The participation of the stakeholders. Okay? Next is errors and omissions tend to be detected earlier in a prototype than system models. The iterative approach is more natural process because change is an expected factor during the development. So, syempre na siya. Basta ganun nag-develop ka, changes is always constant. So, wala na sa'yo sila nga planuhan nyo na, may lagi na yung changes. So, that's why you need to have a good plan para wala na sa changes. Pero, syempre, changes is always there. May modifications kina. Especially kung mag-implement na. There are also disadvantages of the Rad approach. So, one of the disadvantages is Rad prototypes can easily solve the wrong problem since problem analysis is obviated or ignored. So may haragin man siya. For example, B, may hara problem, tapos ano mo na, naka-finish ka na. Sometimes do gina-ignore mo buso sa kadamo sang mga error na basta ma-ignore mong iban. Kay do ma-overlook mo bala. Okay, because kami na-solve ka na mga prototype mo. Basta may mga problem gali, walang mo na why mo na nakita on the later process. No, pag-implement to dam, may mga problema gali nga pulo ka bilog. So why mo nakita kay na-ignore mo na overlook mo, na-deleted mo. Okay? A RAD-based prototype may discourage analysts from considering other, more useful technical alternatives. So kapamati kapag bisa mga chismosa, glay magid. The emphasis on speed can adversely impact quality because of ill-advised shortcuts through methodology. So dapat, syempre, kung expert sa mga field, pero ang mga stakeholders mo yan, amo na magamit, kag gusto, syempre, dapat ang imo nga i-solve, hindi ang gusto mo. Ang gusto dapat sang imo nga stakeholder. So, for example, B, ang gusto naman niya duyan, amo ni. Pero yung mo yung gina-implement giliaryo, si model number 3. Pero gusto yan ni mas mahaposan sila yasang model number 2. Okay, mas mahapos niya siya or model number 1. So, mas mahapos niya sila. So, imo niya, ginignore mo na. Aray, gusto mo niya. Kaya para sa imo, mas mahapos ni. Para sila hindi. So, ginignore mo ni ang ilang mga suggestions, no? So syempre, being a developer, so you need to be a good listener. Okay? Then we have JAD, Joint Application Development. Joint Application Development is a system development methodology again that involves the client or end user in the design and development of an application through a succession of collaborative workshop called JAD session. Okay? This was created and developed in 1970s by Chuck Morris, and this is Chuck Norris, ang katidor. Okay? Chuck Morris and Tony Crawford from the IBM. Okay? So, JAD approach is thought to lead the faster development times and greater client satisfaction, since the client is involved throughout the development process, just like RAD. Okay? Alternatively, in a traditional approach, the developer investigates the system requirements and develops an application with client inputs consisting of a series of interviews. Do para silang Japon, RAD. The variation on RAD is JAD is that is the RAD which attempts to create application more quickly through strategy and includes fewer formal methodology and reusing software components. So, si Radya, most especially gatin sa kaisang dasigay. No, mutugan kay tungod dasigay siya, ma-ignore yang iban. Okay? So, ang advantage ni JAD is allows the simultaneous gathering and consolidating of large amount of information. Si Radya, itong ipakita ko nga illustration, si Radya, kung may kulang siya, hindi na siya magliwat sa requirements, liwat, mamangkot na sa directly sa mga stakeholder. Driya, makonsolidate yun sa bilog, kasi dapat, yung tanan yung important na information before mag-develop, dapat nag-gather na ni JAD, do presence sa sang waterfall. Okay? That's why, however, a drawback of JAD is that it opens up a lot of scope in interpersonal conflict. So, base may mga, di naman niya, may mga hindi bala palarios ang ilang hindi palarios ang ilang story with regards to the process with the system. Do ano bala kung sa lingon ng kada isa sila may mga kanya-kanya sila nga mga this one idea or transaction routine. For example, B pag-entry sang sang product. Ang sayabi, amo ning pagi niya. Sir, ang muna muna gamiton ko, bali may input ko, sa product ID, kagamani, tapos save na dayon. Ang piyak naman niya, lain. Pareho sila to sa piyak, pero paglabad sa middle, galain na. Mapili po ako sa dapat sa category nga, muna dapat before ko mag-send. So, di ba lang check to? So, pag input mo product, mga way na category, or mag-input your product, dapat may category gid. So, may both sides sila yung line story. So, miyara sa interpersonal conflict, niya tawag. So, that is why, each of them, of the model, may mga advantage and disadvantages. Okay? So, sa ako niyang side, mas prefer ko si Rad. No? Sa large scale naman niya nga approach, ang ginagamit nila, amo ni si bang bago, which is the Agile. Kaya nga, damo siya model nga pilian. Which is very convenient. Excuse me. Very convenient sa management side. Okay, diri mostly gid sa management side ni sa na focus. Rad and Jad naman niya mostly ga refer sa development sa developer naman na sila nga side. Okay? So, our exam will be posted on Monday morning. So, dapat makakuha ka mo sa Monday morning sa aton nga exam. And it will last until Tuesday only. Okay? Kay I think do ko muna lang sa klase kung wala kakuha. Kay ginuuna ko biyan silang ang first year tapos ang third year. Tapos kamo kay ginpauna ko sila na kido ang especially sa third year ano ko na naman si third year kay do nung dugayan ko wala ka klase na sila. Anyway, project based man na sila. So ginpauna ko to sila na kamo at least mira naman kamo assessment sa kon nga 1 atong ginagawa sa inyo nga quiz, no? Itong multiple choice with the essay. Okay? But anyway, kindly please study the week 1 and week 2. And at the end of this, you have at the end of this module sa week 2 nyo, so there is a essay here. 1 questions meron isa. So, aling criteria niya. So, kindly please read the criteria or rubric. And this is the question. So, I'll be posting the essay tomorrow. And again, ang deadline niya together with your exam. So, ang inyong essay na project progress check nyo, ang deadline niya pareho sa inyong comprehensive quiz nyo atong do sort of exam ninyo. Sa Monday ko pa i-post para at least may time ka mo mag doon. And at the same time, you can watch this video that will be uploaded on YouTube. Okay? So, if you have questions with regards to our week 2 lesson, you can comment on this video below, or you can just simply message me on our official group chat, or you can have your message with me directly. Kung may mga questions ka mo, kung nahuya ka mo sa group chat mga questions, so you can message me directly. Okay? So, stay safe everyone. Okay? Exercise and eat healthy foods, and drink a lot of water. Okay? So, thank you and God bless everyone.